I love Tazria Metzora. It is a parsha with a paradox. The paradox is that nobody likes Tazria Metzora, but its most common lesson is about not talking bad about things that you don't like. So I'm not going to spread Lashon HaRa about the Torah portion that teaches us that Lashon HaRa, bad language, is improper. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks writes, the rabbis moralized that the condition of tzara'at, the skin disease, often translated as leprosy, the subject that dominates both Tazria and Metzora, it was, they said, a punishment rather than a medical condition. Moses' hand became leprous when he expressed doubt about the willingness of the people to believe in their mission in Exodus. And Miriam was struck by leprosy when she spoke against Moses in the book of Numbers. The Metzora, the leper, was a motzi shem ra, a person who spoke slightingly about others, negatively about others. Evil speech, he continues, Lashon HaRa, was considered by the sages to be one of the worst sins of all. Here's how Maimonides summarizes it. Maimonides said, the sages said, there are 3 transgressions for which a person is punished in this world and has no share in the world to come: idolatry, illicit sex, and bloodshed. And evil speech is as bad as all 3 combined. They also said, whoever speaks with an evil tongue is as if he has denied God. Evil speech kills 3 people, Maimonides said: the one who says it, the one who accepts it, and the one about whom it is said. That's something to think about. 3 people: the one who says it, the one who listens to it, and about whom it is said. With this in mind, I've been thinking about words, about Lashon HaRa, and the damage we excuse and the damage we cause. Specifically, I've been thinking about this in our political discourse. The damage we excuse by others' use of language, and the damage we cause by our use of language. So let me bring you an abstract of a study that I found on PubMed, NIH's public access to research. And I'm bringing it because I want it to be true, though I do not believe it is true any longer. It would be nice to other people that we don't agree with and accuse them of using political extremist language, compared to my side, of course, whichever side that is, which of course is virtuous. We like to put ourselves on the virtuous side, and other people are the wrongdoers. But the world does not work that way. To be honest, the political left and right, post-January 6th, post-October 7th, are regularly using extremist language to demonize, diminish, and degrade other viewpoints. So here's the abstract, which was published in April of 2020. The title of it is Political Psycholinguistics. It's a pretty good phrase there. Political Psycholinguistics, a comprehensive analysis of the language habits of liberal and conservative social media users. For nearly a century, social scientists have sought to understand left-right ideological differences in values, motives, and thinking styles, it says. Much progress has been made, but as in other areas of research, this work has been criticized for relying on small and statistically unrepresentative samples and the use of reactive self-report measures that lack ecological validity. In an effort to overcome these limitations, we employed automated text analytic methods to investigate the spontaneous, naturally occurring use of language in nearly 25,000 Twitter users. We derived 27 hypotheses from the literature on political psychology and tested them using 32 individual dictionaries. In 23 cases, don't get lost in the numbers, in 23 cases, we observed significant difference in the linguistic styles of liberals and conservatives. This is the part that I wish was true, but it is not. For instance, it says, liberals used more language that conveyed benevolence, whereas conservatives used more language pertaining to threat, power, tradition, resistance to change, certainty, security, anger, anxiety, and negative emotion in general. In 17 cases, there were also significant effects of ideological extremity, however you say that word, extremism. For instance, moderates used more benevolent language, we're the virtual ones, right? Whereas extremists use more language pertaining to inhibition, tentativeness, affiliation, resistance to change, certainty, security, anger, anxiety, negative effects, swear words, and death-related language. These research methods, which are easily adaptable, open up new and unprecedented opportunity for conducting unobtrusive research in psycholinguistics and political psychology with large and diverse samples. Now that feels so quaint to think about that. And wouldn't it be nice if one side was so clearly correct and the other side was so clearly wrong? So point number one for today is political extremist language is far too commonplace, and we are far too complacent in our acceptance of it, no matter where it comes from. We're just simply not shocked anymore. We hear it, and we don't hold the speaker, the politician, the neighbor accountable. Remember what Rambam said? Lashon HaRa kills 3 people, the one who said it, the one that accepted it, and the one that it said about. We have to push back. But don't worry, my friends, the solution is here. 13 months ago, the solution of our national linguistics problem emerged because our president gave an executive order on March of 2025. He is aspiring to bring unity to our country through considered, careful language, according to the executive order. So let me just read a part of the executive order. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered, Section 1, from the founding of our republic, English has been used as our national language. Our nation's historic governing documents, including the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, have all been written in English. It is therefore long past time that English is declared as the official language of the United States. A nationally designated language is at the core of a unified and cohesive society, which is great that language is going to be used to make us unified and cohesive, to connect with each other. That seems to be the goal of the executive order. And it continues, and the United States is strengthened by a citizenry that can freely exchange ideas in one shared language. Freely exchange, which means that you aren't derided for sharing your idea, that you may disagree with others, but there's a free exchange back and forth of civil disagreement. In welcoming new Americans, a policy of encouraging the learning and adoption of our national language will make the United States a shared home and empower new citizens to achieve the American dream. Speaking English not only opens doors economically, but it helps newcomers engage in their communities, participate in national traditions, and gives back to our society. This order recognizes and celebrates the long tradition of multilingual American citizens who have learned English and passed it to their children for generations to come, the executive order says. And it goes on in many other ways. There's a flurry of other statements by the agencies trying to implement this. saying that we will no longer print as our government, no longer print documents in other languages, only in English. So what an aspiration. The presumption of the executive order is that the speech which we choose to give voice to in English will unify and coalesce our society and strengthen our citizenry. And yet, that is not how our president or political leaders have been using the English language. Each week, we allow our leaders to say more and more outrageous things, and seemingly they are rewarded with attention and clicks and views. Collectively, we have allowed Lashon HaRa to pass as truth. By not pushing back against any leader who uses language to belittle others rather than to set a vision for a brighter future, any leader who uses language to scorn others because they disagree with them, any leader of any party who traffics in Lashon HaRa rather than addressing the critical issues of our nation does not deserve to hold the office that they hold. Again, on the left and on the right. Judaism has another category of language. Lashon HaRa is one, and Hakarat HaTov is another. Hakarat HaTov means to use language to recognize the good in others. Hakarat HaTov is to use words to lift others up, to honor them as people, as equal in God's eyes and in our own eyes. Imagine the headline, what the headlines would be if Hakarat HaTov was the editorial principle at play. Lashon HaRa creates a downward spiritual and communal spiral. And in contrast, Hakarat HaTov has the potential to open doorways to bring people together for productive disagreement rather than destructive discord. Our Torah portion, Tazria Metzora, cautions us against the disease of contentious and divisive language. We have the potential to see beyond our lowest instincts. We can use language which elevates rather than diminishes, and we can push against our leaders who use it otherwise. We can push Lashon HaRa back to the margins, because if we do not, we will miss our potential. There's a story that Rabbi Lawrence Kushner shares based on Shemot Rabbah. He says Jewish tradition tells us that at the splitting of the Red Sea it was the greatest miracle ever performed. And yet we have a midrash that mentions two Israelites. He names them Reuven and Shimon, who had a different experience. Apparently, the bottom of the sea, though safe to walk on, was not completely dry. It was a little muddy, like a beach at low tide. So Reuven stepped into it and curled his lips. "What is this muck?" And Shimon scowled and said, "There's mud all over the place." "This is just like the slime pits of Egypt," cried Reuven. "What's the difference?" complained Shimon. "Mud here, mud there, it's all the same." And so the story goes on, and so it was for the two of them, grumbling all the way across the bottom of the sea. And because they never looked up once, they never understood why on the distant shore everyone else was singing songs of praise and thanks. For Shimon and Reuven, the miracle never happened. They were so stuck on the discomfort that was before them. They were actually emotionally stuck in the mud. But Kushner concludes, let us all remember to look up and to sing songs of praise, remembering the miracle of the crossing of the sea and the miracles which surround us each day. Let's not get stuck in the attraction of Lashon HaRa. It is not befitting our political leaders. It is not fitting for one who says it and the one that accepts it and the one of whom it is said about. Shabbat Shalom.